Hi, and welcome to another Average Joe Hockey Report. In this video, we took a look at what I think are going to be the top 30 teams that are bound to regress to a point where they need to rebuild. We'll start with number 3, and at number 3 is, I think, the St. Louis Blues. If you look at the St. Louis Blues right now, they got swept by the Colorado Avalanche in the first round of the playoffs, and it doesn't look any better. This next season will be David Perron's um, uh, contract year, basically. Like, he's got UFA at the end of next season, so there's that. Vladimir Tarasenko has requested a trade, and you look at some of their other players. You got Ryan O'Reilly, who's 30 years old, Braden Shen, who's 29, and you look at the defense. Torrey Cruz 30, Justin Falks getting up there. He's 29, and then Colton Parayko will be UFA at the end of next season. And I just think it doesn't really look promising for a team that's had puck possession trouble and just regressed since their Stanley Cup championship. And yes, it could get to a point where they regressed to a point where they need to rebuild. They still do have some young players that could be that are promising, and Vince Dunn, Jordan Kyrou, and Robert Thomas, but they might be in for a rebuild and just need another cornerstone on defense, and then we'll see. Jordan Binnington does have that long contract. We'll see how it goes. It hasn't really been great for Binnington since his Stanley Cup championship, but I think Binnington still has a chance to turn things around. But we'll see what the team is in front of him. So that's my number 3, St. Louis Blues. Number 2, Washington Capitals. I'd like to think that Washington will re-sign Alexander Ovechkin, but he'll be 36 by then. And then the only thing that doesn't keep them from being number 1 is that Yevgeny Kuznetsov, Anthony Manta, and Tom Wilson are still in their 20s, although Kuznetsov is almost in his 30s. But yeah, between Ovechkin, Backstrom, TJ Oshie, and John Carlson, which is most of your core players, that's at least most of them in their 30s. So with that being said, I think they are bound to regress to a point where they might have to rebuild a bit. Oh, and they do have youth in goaltending with Vitek Vanacek and Ilya Samsonov, and I do think that Ilya Samsonov will be a good goalie, whatever. But for now, the core is aging, and it's going to eventually get to a point where they're going to need to rebuild, especially since they've been knocked out of the first round twice now. So yeah. And then my number 1 team for regarding teams that are bound to regress to a point where they need to rebuild is the Pittsburgh Penguins. Both Chris Letang and Yevgeny Malkin are in their last years of their contracts. I'd like to think they'll get re-signed, but probably not as much as they probably won't make as much as they are making now, and I could see their numbers dropping. I put Pittsburgh at number 1, although it was a close call, because Washington does have a few promising prospects in Connor McMichael and Hendrix Lapierre, whereas I don't know if Pittsburgh really has any promising prospects in that regard. Also, to look at it, I like Tristan Jarry, and I think he can turn things, and I think he can be a pretty good goalie, but he did not have a good playoffs. And then if you look at it, like you look at the defense, John Marino regressed from last year. Mike Matheson was just not Not a good signing. Not a good trade. Yay, yay, yay. And basically, I think the only thing Pittsburgh's gonna have going for them is they're gonna have to hope that Crosby, Malkin, and Letang can keep producing, and then they've got the youth of Jake Gensel, and then Kasperi Kapanen and Jared McCann had good seasons last season, but I just think that this team is bound to regress really hard. I mean, I'm surprised. I'm kind of surprised that they haven't regressed yet to a point where um, they've missed the playoffs. But they've been getting eliminated in the first round, and I just think it's bound to happen that they have to start rebuilding and retooling and just eventually they won't have any playoff appearances basically in the future. This video is based on opinion and may not have any truth to how these three teams' futures are, like how they do in the regular season and whatnot. So remember, if I'm wrong, don't belittle me, educate me. Take care, everyone, and follow my Instagram page, Average Joe Hockey Report, my YouTube channel, Marty Tom.